Alright, what's up guys, and welcome to another Rocket League analysis video. So today's video will be sort of like a continuation of the video I did yesterday, and for Kevin. So this will be from his perspective as opposed to yesterday, which was from Tom's perspective. Boom. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I'm on the right guy, about 100% sure. But it's the same match, so you know, I've got it from a different perspective. So let's get stuck in. All right. So he's like checking out his teammate. Take a little sneak peek at his boyo. He's like, "How you doing over there, cowboy? You good?" And Sergeant's like, "Yeah, I'm good. Let's do this." And off they go. It's a hard win on the kickoff. No idea what that guy was doing, but we already know full well that guy's fucking whack. Alright, teammate goes for shot, that failed of it. So here, with the way you moved up, you can see that the enemy is actually boosting towards that ball, which means he's a lot closer than you are. So instead of trying to beat him out, wait, because there's a chance that you can't tell from here if he's going to get a touch guaranteed or not. So it's best to wait for a touch opportunity there. Although you positioned well and used all the boosts to get to that position, I would have just slowed down a little bit here. Tap the brakes, get yourself off supersonic, and stay on the ground for a sec until after the bounce happens. Because if anything, if he's going to touch the ball, it's going to be around the time of the bounce, either slightly before, slightly after, or during. Now he doesn't have a shot on net from this point, so you don't actually have to turn or anything. But sitting roughly where you are right here is perfect. So again, although I could tell that being grounded isn't such a problem for you, definitely you had a perfect opportunity to shoot here had you not committed for this. This was a really good center ball. His teammate, the enemy's teammate, was out of position. You can see both of them out of position from here. So that's one thing I would suggest. Slow down a little bit when you have shot opportunities, and so that you can make much better touches on the ball. This bit here, I wouldn't have gone for this because you were backwards. You had fuck all boost. And even if you had have touched it, it would have been a very weak pass into the center of the field. Not to mention, the enemies didn't have a shot from this position. Now, if an enemy was on the backboard somewhere, like up on the top corner or something, and had a shot on your net, then it's kind of a little bit different because you're actually cutting off a play, you're disrupting a play, which is, you know, quite important. However, jumping for this ball isn't really necessary. Obviously, as we know, your teammate actually went up for that as well, which caused a little bit of issues, but that's fine. This was smart, staying here for this and to disrupt a little bit. I think that there's a chance that you could have done more off the wall there, but you didn't do anything particularly. You didn't do anything particularly wrong there, in my opinion. Now, with this, definitely staying on the ground here was the best possible option, or going for a really high beat. So you slowed down this time, even though you couldn't see the enemy here, to make sure that your pass was effective or to try to take a shot. However, the moment the enemy appeared, unfortunately you were already in the air. So this is like a little bit of hesitation. So you definitely want to, and as you can see, you got hard beat. So you definitely want to, when that happens, you want to make up your mind. You know, do I either go for a hard pass, in which case do it as soon as possible, or do I go for a hard or do I wait and see what happens, which is what other players would do. Getting caught in the middle means that you're going to get caught out. Here, your rotation back, just to point it out, you changed camera, which is good, but you didn't actually like figure out where each boost pad was. You could have gotten 2 extra boost pads in that position. So it's definitely wise to take a moment and look at each boost pad. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 as that curves out and comes back in. So you could have taken that path and ended up with, you know, however much boost, 48 boost, which is, you know, the best part of half a tank. In this position, you were in a good defensive rotation right here, but then you rushed, probably due to panic, if I'm to guess, because your teammate is obviously not in a position. So in this position, I would have hit the brakes where you were just half a second ago. Hit the brakes like right about here and slow down for a sec, and just let the play out just for a half a second, so that you can see if this guy's going to do anything, because he could still flick it over your head at this point, as well as 50, as well as go low. He had a lot of options here. So one thing you want to be sure of, one thing you want to make sure of, is that you're not putting yourself out of position to rush a touch, because obviously it ends up getting over you, and it ends up turning into a goal for them. But, you know, not a big deal. You're a minute into the match. It's not a big problem. It's just something small. If you're in a defensive position, then you want to take full advantage of said defensive position. That was good. Your patience on the wall just before was really good. So, you know, there's nothing wrong to say about that. However, one thing I want to point out, and this is a small detail, but something really important for you to notice as well. You started off in your corner with 91 boost, 87 boost. Okay, you had 87 boost when you started up here. During this part, and your rush to the end of the field, you ended up with 10 boost. You went down 77 boost and made one touch. That touch wasn't on net, it wasn't threatening, it wasn't anything like that. So one thing you want to make sure of is just be careful of little details like that. Keep stuff like that in mind. If you can't make a functional play or a functional touch or something, then just conserve. That was good. This next touch was really good as well. Unfortunately there, obviously you didn't have your other jump. So, you know, you couldn't really make much of a play. That was just more of a mechanical thing. If I can give a piece of advice from here, normally I don't talk about mechanical stuff, but if you wait just a little bit longer for the ball to come slightly lower, you can hit it, like turn your car into the ball a little bit and just boop it with the front of your car. It might go backboard, but it won't go low. And that's one thing you want to make sure of, is that you're not going too low, because otherwise that happens. But and it will also have a lot of power. So that wasn't too bad. You managed to make a decent offensive play. This is another thing. You were actually in a decent defensive position here, but he did have a ceiling shot attempt that he could set up. So going up for the ball was kind of hit and miss. That you can wait on the ground, or you can go up for the ball. If you trust your teammate a lot, go up for the ball and force the quick play. If you don't trust your teammate a lot, stay on the ground. So if you're solo queuing or something like that, probably wiser to stay on the ground. Lol. Sick flip reset, bro. This is a flip reset passing plating. So pretty much like fuck grand champ right here. Oh. But you know, so with this, you made a really good touch there. Waiting for him to drop the ball as opposed to pick the ball up was good. Here, I would definitely have recommended just waiting a little bit longer, because there is an opportunity to take a shot on the net from this position. Now, it won't be an absolute clanger, but it will be a shot. And taking a shot is really, really handy. Unfortunately, for some reason, I wanna like take a moment to really appreciate, to really appreciate what this guy did. This guy is really something. Okay, I don't need to speak too much. I don't need to speak at all. He's got 89 boosts, goes to the corners, flips around all over the field. Look at this man, what a specimen. But anyway, I enjoyed that he's supporting the protest though, so that's cool. But anyway, we'll finish analyzing this beam, and we'll go back to you. So you checked out your teammate again, just wolf whistle him real quick. Nice car, boy. Alright, so you got a really good kick off there in this position. Now, if there's one thing that I can't stress enough, from this position, the ball can go anywhere here. It's really difficult to read, so don't be afraid to hit a 12, like a couple of pads of boost, to stay a little bit further back. Unless you're going to hard read this and try to go for like the actual bounce downwards, which is, you know, a total bitch to do. However, you did actually make it pan out, like it turned into a pass. So, you know, it's not such a big deal, but you always want to respect bounces. As often as possible, you want to respect bounces. For example, this position here. Now, it was sort of hit and miss whether or not he'd turn around or not, but he was actually slightly closer to the ball. because he'd boosted so much quicker than you. So you actually had an opportunity to turn around at this point. Obviously, you focused on the ball, didn't turn around. So that's one thing that is just sort of focusing on the read. That's still gets me. That guy tried to go for that double touch. The ball's like not fast, it's not high. He doesn't have to go up for anything crazy, but he's like, you double touch. So that was pretty good. The challenge you did there. You had options there to either go for it or not go for it. I would have suggested not going out for it because sometimes something like that you can misread it, and it can end up being a bit of a difficult situation. Here, I would have taken my time just a little bit more because you didn't have any boost. I think if there was one thing that I've noticed really quickly, just from the match so far, is that your boost management isn't very good in comparison to your teammates. Your teammate always seems to have boost, whereas you always seem to have a lot less boost. So one thing I would recommend taking care of and looking out for is your overall boost count and like pathing over small pads and stuff like that, and not using too much boost to push up into positions that aren't really necessary. So with this play, your teammate passed it out. You sort of got a soft touch there. You could have waited a little bit longer. Another thing that I would say is on your offensive plays, give things a little bit more patience. You don't have to rush. The ball's going to probably come to you, and if you're closest to the ball, then it's definitely going to come to you. So, oh, that's unfortunate. In that position, I would have side flipped. It's more of a mechanical error than anything else, but I would have side flipped to put the ball on target straight away, and then if you have extra boost, you try to make an opportunity out of it. That was in my opinion, a rather large misplay here. Now, sitting in your position is fine. The positioning itself isn't too bad. However, trying to flip off the wall to try to get a touch on this ball is not good, because no matter what touch you make from here, it's gonna go center ball because he's there. All he has to do is brake for 1/10 of a second, and that ball is gonna go straight into his hands. So it's better to actually fake a challenge here and hold yourself against the backboard. Basically do a little shadow a little bit. So that would be that's one thing that I would suggest when it comes to your own defensive corners. Now in your own corners, they can't shoot, not effectively. So if you're shadowing from there, you can pretty much save 99% of everything that happens. In this position, you want to run back as quick as possible. This was bad. Definitely. So you saw this guy coming in. He made a touch of the ball. It wasn't great. One thing you want to keep in mind is where the ball's going to go a second after you touch it. Your touch here is going to happen in games regardless. There's always going to come a time where you accidentally center the ball. The problem isn't centering the ball. The problem with this particular play was that you didn't actually follow up on the fact that you centered a ball. You tried to go for boost. Now this guy was either going to go for a boost or a demo. You knew this fact. Unfortunately he went for the boost over the demo. I would have gone for the demo instead, or both preferably, but he went for the boost first. Then you realize the ball, you're like, oh crap, the ball's coming back down in the center of the field, I need to do something about this. Unfortunately nothing came of it. So in that position, turning to defense is slightly better. Either turning to defense or trying to make a rush play as quick as possible on the ball. In that, from where you were, making a rush play on the ball wasn't really viable. That was smart. I like that. From where you were, making a rush play on the ball, yeah, it wasn't viable because it was so high in the air. But it definitely, you want to analyze that as quick as possible. If there's a ball that you accidentally put center field, you need to make sure that you can stop any shot that comes from that ball by either rushing the ball or by going to the net. This was more of a mechanical error than anything. You definitely wanted to stay more grounded there and just wait, a tiny little space of time to see what he did first. The other part before that was just a dunk. I mean, you had a lot of plays that you could make there. You could either go for a hard beat or not. This is something that I want to focus on quite a lot, because this is a really bad habit, and at higher ranks, conceding one goal can concede you the entire game. So, sorry, my cat. Conceding one goal can concede you a full game. So you definitely want to be more careful, stuff like this. Now if your teammate is closer to the ball than you are, rule of thumb, don't go for the ball. When it comes to the enemy corners, never go for the ball. It doesn't matter if it's 2s or 3s, do not go for the ball in the enemy corner if your teammate's still there. No matter what your teammate's doing, even if he's recovering, if he's just hanging out, if he's going for a demo, never go and into the enemy corner while your teammate's there, because it means 2 of you are taking up like, oh, it's hard for me to show. You 2 are taking up like this much of the field, and the entire rest of the field is for the enemy. That's not good. You know, you don't want to be sitting here and the ball be anywhere else, because you can't do anything. There's nothing that you can do from this position. They have the whole world that they can play with, and you have this boost. You know, so definitely something you want to keep in mind. So never go for stuff like that. Not without a really good excuse. So that's another position. So one mechanical thing I've noticed you're not doing is side flipping into the ball. Don't be afraid to. You know, there's an easy way to get it. That was awesome. It's an easy way to get a really good, powerful shot without too much effort, and without putting yourself out of position too much either. So definitely something to keep in mind. That was a good pass. That worked out really well. See that position? You did what you didn't do early at the start of the game. You actually rushed the ball, and it worked out in your favor. Instead of hesitating that little bit, you sort of analyzed whether or not you wanted to hard beat them. You saw an opportunity to hard beat them. You took it. Ended up turning into a goal. That was good. And now you're in overtime. So just one more time. Checking out your teammate. Just, hey buddy, you know. And then off you go again. So that was smart of you not to push. Although I would have shadowed a little bit closer. After the moment so sitting where you were just a quarter second ago wasn't bad at all. So you went straight for the boost, perfectly fine. And then you were here. This isn't a bad position, but you want to slow down just a little bit and aim a little bit more towards the net here, which is what you start doing. But the slowing down part's the important bit, because it means that he's going to put the ball ever so slightly to the side of you, or you're going to be ever so slightly to side ball, which means you're going to be a lot closer, and you're going to be in a much more blind area and a much more blind spot for him. He's not going to see you anywhere near as easily, which means you can shadow a lot closer, you can make a play a lot quicker. It just gives you overall more options. Now some people will try to shoot from that position on the bounce. Those people are total dicks. That I don't disagree with that, with people doing stuff like that. You weren't in a bad position either way. Unfortunately, he just didn't do that, and then for some reason he tried to go for the world's longest fake. So this is another time where I think you got caught up, like mechanically trying to use your brake and your power slide simultaneously. So and because you had a lot of boost, I definitely wouldn't have recommended it. But it's not a big deal. It didn't turn into a goal or anything. It's just something to keep in mind. Is you know, when you have a lot of boost, you can still make a full field play with a lot of boost if you have an opening to do so. So you did have an opening to do so, but I think you got too caught up in trying to control the ball. Now this is a big thing. If your teammate is here and he's about to aggress the ball, or it looks like he's going to start shadowing, don't turn into him. Just give him as much space as you can comfortably give him. Now you didn't know he was going to land in front of your car, you didn't know if he was going to catch it or whatever, but you still could have turned away regardless. And given him, you know, a good like one of these squares in the field worth of space. Like he was here, and you want to give him like this much space. Just go on the wall and then come back down and go over there. So hitting him here was really, really bad. And then you hit him, and then you realize like, oh shit, I've hit my teammate. I need to do something with the ball because now my teammate's in our net because I just scored him. In this position, you want to actually like aggress the ball really, really quickly, especially when you realize that you've had space. Like you realize that there's nobody here. You can see that the field's empty. Turn around as quickly as possible. Try to take a shot on net. Try to make a hard clear. Give your teammate time to sort of reevaluate, and to reposition. Because right now he could be like upside down against the wall, or like on the ceiling, or what the fuck knows. Like, and obviously he got his revenge, so be it. But yeah, there's one thing you want to be careful of. So that wasn't a bad play there. You made a lot of good 50s there, very important. But stealing the enemy boost wasn't really wise in my opinion. You know, even if he hadn't have taken the center one, stealing the enemy's boost, yeah, wasn't the best play. There was no reason to try to take that boost. Even if that was the only large boost on the field, you're better off getting a couple of small pads. Just turn around, get 3 or 4 small pads on your way back to net, and rotate from the net so that you have a defense position. Especially in overtime, you're technically not winning, so you want to be defensive. That was just a mechanical misplay. You want to try to avoid those as much as you can. At this rank, people don't normally hit double touches very often, so there's no real. It's kind of safe to sort of wait on them, but you do want to be careful. This is one area that I think is important to note. You're in a good position right here. He's backwards, so from here he can't really do much of anything. No matter what he does, it's going to be weak as shit. So you definitely want to just hit the brakes here for a sec. Don't try to rush him, because he will beat you no matter what happens, but it's going to be weak. No matter what he does, it's going to be weak. So wait it out for a sec. Let him do whatever he's going to do, and face him, or primarily face him, a little bit further back, so that once he makes this ridiculous touch, you can charge in and go and get him. So that's sort of that ground mindset of like taking your time. Don't try to fake stuff too much, because there's no real use to it. Your teammate cleared very well there. It was actually on target, and that was really good. Here you caught yourself out of position, and it ended up conceding you guys a goal because you tried to rush. You actually had a bunch of boost here, like way more than is required to have justified grabbing that boost. So this was definitely a mindset, a thing where you want to be in a position where if a clear happens, you're there for it. Going here, now from where he was sitting before you even committed to this boost, it was going to be difficult for you to do anything, because he was going to hit it somewhere in this half of the field, in sort of the half that you're in right now. So he's either going to hit it into your corner, towards that boost, slightly in front of you, or towards the net. He had a lot of options here, especially because your teammate made a mistake, and you sort of have to, in twos, you sort of have to play to be careful of those mistakes. You don't really get the choice to push yourself out of position for a favorable play, sacrifice of your defense. You have to focus on your defense first and foremost. So this wasn't great, and then you committed hard for this, even though he'd already jumped up first. You probably wouldn't have gone back in time either which way, but shadowing would have been the better option there. So that's definitely something I would recommend, is focus on your defensive rotations, very much so. So all in all, I would say boost management needs a bit of work. Being more wary of when you have time, and taking more advantage of that, making your touches a little bit more vital to the overall play, and not sacrificing a good defensive rotation for the sake of a touch. You can give them a lot more possession. This is something I said to your teammate as well, is that it's really important that you give your enemy time and respect that they deserve in a particular rank, because if you don't, they will take advantage of it. Players are just as good as you. They might have a bad day, they might have a bad game, they might be even better, they might be worse, but they're at least as good as you, is the rule of thumb that you should be going for. So that's what I would recommend. Don't be afraid to let enemies have a little bit of space. And lastly, give your teammates the benefit of the doubt that they will make mistakes sometimes. Don't hard commit for those mistakes though. Don't try to make up for those mistakes. Just play around them. So your teammate missed a touch there, you don't want to try to take that touch yourself. There's no purpose to that. It doesn't fix anything. If anything, it puts both of you in the same position on the field. That's the best case scenario, is you both end up on the same position of the field doing the same thing. The worst case scenario is that thing that you guys were doing is missing and you end up completely out of position. For example, that's a worst case scenario, and that's more likely to happen than anything else. Fortunately, it actually almost turned into a goal, but it's something to be mindful of regardless. But that's really it, and make sure you take advantage of side flips a little bit more, and overall like hard clears on the net and stuff. You can get all the way to Grand Champ just with hard clears on the net, pretty much. Hitting everything on target will net you Grand Champ pretty quickly, honestly. It's quite amazing how bad people's defensive capabilities are, especially if you do 2 or 3 times in a quick succession. It's very easy to break people down with just simple shots. But anyway, those would be the things I would recommend. Watch this video a couple times over if you feel that anything's being missed out. If you like it, give me a like and a thumbs up. That really helps to get rid of stop YouTube's ridiculous algorithm for stuff, because it really doesn't make sense, some of their algorithms. But anyhow, I hope you liked. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe so that you can see more of this kind of stuff. And hopefully soon I'll start doing maybe a 1v1 series. I don't know if it'll be like a standard Road to Grand Champ series. It may be just be me just playing 1v1 so that people can enjoy the content. But yeah, there'll be more on that at a later time. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day. And I'll see everyone in the next video.